Okay, so Captain Marvel dropped over the weekend to astronomically high numbers, $455 million worldwide opening weekend. And despite a lot of the middling reviews and the fact that the movie was heavily protested in parts of the internet and people were trying to push Alita over it in many cases. And there were, by the way, just as an update, I got two messages today, one from a personal friend and another from a viewer who took the Alita challenge and showed receipts. And so I'm very happy that they've done that and they plan on seeing it again. So that's good too. But anyway, there was a lot of pushback against Captain Marvel this weekend, but none of that mattered because it was the 21st film in the MCU. Everyone who's always enjoyed a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie went to go see it for themselves, which is one of the reasons why it had such a huge astronomical opening weekend. Whether or not it does well in its second weekend, who knows? I'm thinking it's going to probably drop till around 70, 75, maybe 80 mil in its second weekend, which is, well over 50%. If it drops in the 70% range like Batman v Superman did, then that will definitely be telling about where the damn thing stands. But for right now, no one's even remotely looking at that. No one's even talking about that, especially when headlines like this exist. Captain Marvel ends box office myths about female superheroes. Yeah, because there was always a myth surrounding that, apparently. Right? This is what we see every time something like this comes out, right? This is what we see every single time a movie like this comes out. And a movie like this has a big opening. They go, oh, it finally crashed and smashed and destroyed the glass ceiling. Female superhero movies will reign supreme. Except a good movie is a good movie. A movie that is the 21st in a long-running franchise is going to have a dedicated core fan base who are going to come out in droves to see that movie. People who are curious about the film are going to go check it out. And of course, there are going to be those that just see it because they're dragged to by someone that they care about. There are going to be many different reasons why a movie like this was going to get its core audience. But again, this is what we're seeing in regards to the media having to spin and spin and spin and spin, because this is what the article says. Disney's Captain Marvel finally settled the score on one of Hollywood's biggest misconceptions. Female superheroes can hold their own at the box office. Hey, listen, it's been nearly 2 years since Wonder Woman came out, by the way. We already had this conversation back then. Is it because, Wonder Woman is DC, but yet, this is a Marvel movie, so it really shouldn't matter. They're two different conversations, two different franchises, but that didn't stop. I forget, was it Variety or was it Hollywood Reporter or one of these outlets trying to compare Captain Marvel pre-sales to that of Aquaman and Wonder Woman and not comparing them against Marvel Cinematic Universe movies? I find every attempt the media does to put a spin on this movie in the positive rather than letting it stand on its own does a disservice to the movie itself. The movie, while middle of the road, in my opinion, is you got to let it exist on its own right. But here trying to say, it dispelled the myth of that female superhero movies do shit, right? Well, let's take a look here. So, because that's the big takeaway from this weekend. Captain Marvel's the studio's first comic book movie to put the spotlight on a female heroine. Captain Marvel starring Brie Larson debuted with a mighty $455 million globally, a sixth best start for a movie of all time. Larson's Carol Danvers is in rarefied company among her spandex cohorts. Captain Marvel ranks as the biggest launch of a superhero movie worldwide behind Avengers Infinity War. Considering the fact that that was the biggest superhero movie of all time, it makes sense that the film leading up to the next installment, the finale of this particular part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, would have a large lead-in, predominantly because people are going to want to see how it ties into the larger narrative, even if some of those connections are not very good. Again, there's that big twist, if you know what I'm talking about who you can trust. It's kind of dumb. Now, Jeff Bach, a box office analyst, says Captain Marvel shuts the door on that conversation. It slams the door, in fact. Female superhero films of the past like Catwoman and Elektra were bad films. And that's all we have to say about them. You look at Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel. They are good films put together by strong creative teams. That's the difference. Of course, that's the difference, dude. No one's arguing that. Look, you want to sit there and say that Catwoman and Elektra were arguably bad films? Yes, they were. 100% bad movies. But they existed before Wonder Woman by 12 years in the case of Elektra. 14 years in the case of goddamn Catwoman. They existed for years. It wasn't that the movies were perceived as bad because they starred women. It's because the movies were just bad. 2003 was not only the release of Catwoman, it was also the release of Resident Evil, and what was the second one called? Apocalypse, right? Coming off of 2001's, I think it was 2001's Resident Evil movie, or 2002's Resident Evil. I forget the exact year. But again, those were popular films led by Milla Jovovich, who went on to star in 6 of them. 6 of them, where she is the lead actress. No one ever talks about that as leading a successful science fiction video game based horror franchise starring a woman. No one ever brings it up. Never part of the conversation. Kate Beckinsale in the, I don't even know, 5 or 6 Underworld movies playing Selena. Same damn thing. She's led that charge for years. No one ever says anything about it in the positive. But you bring up Catwoman and Elektra because you're trying to point to, obviously, the superhero connections. Not strong females leading a strong franchise that happens to then just be led by a woman. There's, again, no one is complaining that Catwoman and Elektra starred women. People were complaining that they starred Halle Berry instead of giving her a Storm spinoff, and Jennifer Garner, who instead of getting Daredevil 2, we got Elektra. Do you see the whole point here? But that's the argument that they want to make here. They want to come out and they want to spin it any way that they can, because this is how Hollywood approaches these movies now, right? And it's not just like a movie like this in a good way. It's literally every single movie. They try to find whatever gold star approach they can take to it, right? They try to find whatever they can do to give it a trophy, whether it's, they don't want to give it participation. They want to give it its own specific trophy. Captain Marvel was the #1 movie in 2019. Yeah, we're 2 months fully into the film. So, okay, fine. It's the #1 movie of 2019. We're 9 weeks into the year. There are still 43 left to go, right? But that is the argument they want to use. They want to sit there and run with that because then it overhypes the movie. It overhypes what it is. And that to me is always hysterical. It's always the participation awards that make all of this spin so funny to watch. Look, Wonder Woman did very, very, very well in 2017 when it came out. Clearly people wanted to see it. Clearly people loved Gal Gadot in the role. Clearly there is a franchise there. And that's a good thing. I love the movie. I love her in the part. I defended her back in 2013 when they cast her. And when all the dudes were out there going like, that's a terrible idea. You can find a video on my main channel, Mundane Matt, where I defended Gal Gadot's casting. 100%. Called it all the way back then. Okay. So that's the whole point, is just that, yes, Captain Marvel was an okay enough movie to I don't know if to warrant the amount of money it earned. I mean, my girlfriend saw it yesterday with her friend and she was like, I don't know what the hoopla is. I really liked it. And then she came home and told me why she liked it. But from a person who's a non-big Marvel Cinematic Universe fan or completely unaware of all the hoopla surrounding it online, she just went into it like it was a movie, and that was fine to her. And that's fine. That's great. You know, she wants to see it again when it comes out on home video. So we're going to check it out then and watch it together, you know, but look, that's the whole point. It's just a movie, right? At the end of the day, it's just a movie, but treat it like it's a movie. Don't go into this like it's going to smash anything, because it would have done well regardless. It would have done well regardless of it being a Marvel movie. I think it would have done well regardless, because it's a Marvel movie. And that's basically about it. I think it would have done that as well. But a lot of people were interested to see what they were going to do with it. Now that it's come out, now that it's in theaters, the question then becomes what happens next. Will it be able to hold on to another immense opening weekend? Will its second weekend be able to bring in the same amount of numbers? The word of mouth surrounding Captain Marvel is it did well, but it's not something you want to watch more than once, at least in regards to something like in theaters. On home video is one thing. Seeing it before watching Endgame is going to be another. People want to play in on that. I wouldn't be surprised if this movie hangs around for a while and ends up becoming like something that people, gets a boost right before Avengers Endgame, so people can get on that action. That's those are my thoughts on that one. But at the end of the day, we've seen strong movies featuring women for decades. But every time a new one comes out, and this is predominantly my argument, every time a new one comes out, all the rest just get forgotten, because it's all about the participation trophy in the moment. And I think that personally does a huge, massive disservice to women, because you take away all the agency that they've been able to create based on past projects, and you put all of womanhood on their shoulders for this weekend and defend it until the nth degree. And I think it just does so much irreparable damage, and it treats people absolutely unfairly by putting all of this effort on them, all of this stuff on them that doesn't need to be there. I'm not defending things Brie Larson has said, criticize away for those things that she has said, absolutely. But the way that she's been protected by the media is something that I will continue to call out, because I find it to be absolute BS.